guys, this is Blitz, and this is the sixth installment of Much Ado About Dota. With me today, as usual, are my guests and co-hosts. We'll go to the host first. Liquid Bulba. Feels really odd saying that. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing well. I have a webcam, so this is for you, Mewtwo.
I can see that. And of course, also with us today is PAINTDOTA. Hello,
Hey,
Josh.
what's
How are you doing?
going on? Glad to see that everyone has webcams and see you back from Vegas.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh yeah, I was gone, wasn't I? And last but not least, is our usual host is Dignitas AUY 2000. Hello, Kurt.
Hi.
You're kind of quiet, by the way.
Am I really quiet? Okay.
Yeah. And just so we don't get outnumbered by Canadians, with us today is our special guest. Thank you so much for being on, by the way. Liquid Bumblebee, who actually does the coordination for both the Dota and StarCraft team, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's what I do. I work for TL as like the team coordinator, player manager, if you could say. So that's what I
Okay,
do.
so is that just like what kind of goes into your day-to-day duties in regards to the Dota team, by the way?
Well, it's a number of things really. Like even though you just call it like a player manager or stuff like that's it. Like the normal things goes into like communicate, manage, and coach players on a daily basis. Outside of that, like travel to events, try to nurture and coach the players, making sure everything's all right. Outside of that, animal management, kind of like developing the team. Like I work with Victor very closely and James Lemkin, who's Kennegat, on like developing and expanding the team's content structure, visions, and like try to reach those goals we set for ourselves. I try as much as possible to take care of like our schedules and like with travel and tournaments and practice as well in StarCraft, and I'll see how it goes with Dota now. Like that's definitely something we have to learn and communicate about to see what the players want to do and then like how things work. Aside from that, I do sponsor reports as well, like on a monthly basis about our results or media or statistics. And then I'm as well, since I was one of the front runners of like getting Dota 2 onto Team Liquid, because of my history in playing MOBA games and having a really strong love for the game. So that's about it as like my official team manager tasks, I guess.
All right. So obviously, the big news this week was Team Liquid picking up Dota 2. Sam, I'd actually like to ask you, obviously, since you're on the team, kind of what it means for you personally to be a part of Team Liquid.
I think it was really overwhelming actually. Like I didn't think the response would be that big. I mean, obviously I knew Liquid's a huge team, and like just all the like the comments on the website and like all these like Twitters I got and all these like messages. I don't know, it was like surreal. I just didn't expect all that. I don't know. It was awesome. It really is awesome. And everyone was supporting. There was like no one like was like, "Oh, why did Liquid go to Dota? Why? Screw Dota." But it's like everyone was like happy. Like Liquid's growing and yeah, so that was it.
All right, Kurt, I know actually that you played StarCraft probably at the highest level out of all of us. What did it mean to you personally for a site like Team Liquid to kind of get involved with a game like Dota?
Um, of all the like community sites and forums I've ever been to, I think Team Liquid is definitely like the best level of discussion or anything, or like I don't know. I've been on Team Liquid for a really long time. Like I used to go on there to get Brood War VODs when I was pretty young. So I really love their website, and I'm really excited to see them cover Dota and have a Dota team now.
Yep. And Josh, any thoughts on your favorite whipping boy getting picked up by Team Liquid?
Well, just Team Liquid is just like the best community website in general, and they're just such a big name in StarCraft 2 already, and they have so much influence over the game in general, like the whole esports genre, not genre, the whole esports scene, and they're like a rival to EG, which is it's a pretty big statement in itself. So it's really nice to see Liquid stepping in as like the most popular and I would say biggest, well, one of the biggest and one of the most popular StarCraft sponsors coming over to Dota. It's really nice.
Yeah. Robin, something I actually wanted to ask you. How exactly did the team kind of come together? Like, what initially made you guys? Because I know StarCraft has obviously been Team Liquid's focus for a really, really long time, but how did it kind of go from like, maybe we should pick up a team to actually going out and doing it? And what kind of attracted you to picking up the A team, obviously?
Um, well, first of all, it's stated in like the news post is that we've been looking at Dota for a while, and I've personally been playing both Dota on and tried League of Legends, and I'd like to say I'm pretty familiar with the scene and the players and the people like in the scene. And since I kind of tried to push for us to start a Dota 2 forum on Team Liquid, I've kind of just like taken every step to like talk to Nasco, the owner of Team Liquid, talk to other people around and try to push us ahead into like wanting to do Dota as a professional team as well. And even though everybody's been liking the thing, we did not expect to pick up a team this fast. We were actually going to like monitor the scene, monitor the players, who do we actually like. Um, but then this whole thing kind of happened where everybody sort of became free agents, like right around Dignitas signed their team with AUI. And talking to like a variety of players, both from the North American and the European scene. I met Bulba in Copenhagen when he was boot camping here with EG. Got to know each other quite well and really liked each other. And since then, I've always liked him and could see him as a potential player on Team Liquid. So after talking to a few people about who's actually available, I shot him a message and said, "Hey, what's up? Like, what's your plans now? I heard you might be quitting Dota. Like, what is your actual plan?" And he said actually that he was like now the most motivated in his whole career. Like TA3 would be coming up, and he feels great about his play. He feels great about the game, and then he kind of spoke to us about the call guys, saying, well, this team is like left with three people right now. Hannah's not really playing, and I believe they're a really strong team. And we kind of took the discussion from there, and then we like I brought up with Sam that I really like Korik from my Hon time. I think he's an incredible player, and we just like talked together about it. They played a few scrims. They like to be a team together, and then the conversation just kind of continued, and it just felt so right that this is something we have to do now. Like, there probably won't be a better opportunity even though we waited.
Yeah, actually, for me personally, anyways, I never thought that Dota would be as big as this. So for me to kind of see such a prestigious organization like Team Liquid picking up a team, it feels like a culmination of like things finally coming together. And hopefully this is kind of the precursor to bigger things like more leagues picking up Dota 2. But anyways, moving on, something I actually really wanted to talk about as well, GEST just kind of happened with obviously LGD International winning it all. Spoiler alert, it's been like a week and a half, so if you haven't watched that, you definitely should. But they actually had a really good series against the actual LGD roster, right? That was who was in the finals? And they had like a one-game advantage and everything.
Yeah.
What did you guys think in general about the games that they played, and was anybody really surprised about them winning it all? I know, Sam, I think you were the one that somebody expressed concern over whether they would get far enough. Was that you, Kurt? I don't remember.
Don't recall.
But anyways, Kurt, did you watch the games, and what were your thoughts on them as a whole?
I watched most of the games actually. I saw them pick Clockwork, and I was really happy about that. And then Brax made some really sick plays, and Clockwork is a really good hero. And it's really, it's just really nice to see LGD doing really well after training in China like that, because they're really, really dedicated to Dota, and they're all really talented. So it's good to know we're not going to be completely Chinese dominated, hopefully.
But in a way, it kind of is.
Yeah,
Cause,
they're sort of
more
a
or
Chinese
less.
team, but we'll call them foreigner team, right?
yeah, I mean, we'll still claim them. Anyway, do you think this kind of leads credence to maybe LAN houses like that? Because I remember we had a discussion in earlier episodes of whether it was necessary or not to own a team house. Does this kind of help turn you around on that end?
Well, you see, my problem with team houses was never that I didn't think that they were useful. It was always that I thought that people thought that team houses were the only way to get good, and I had a problem with that. But I still think team houses are effective.
All right, Sam, I know for a fact that you watched all the games. What were your thoughts in general about the way that LGD International played, and what kind of sets them apart from like your standard team?
I actually casted them, man, with
Oh
LG
yeah,
Dota.
you actually did, huh?
I don't know how, like, you even, like, messaged me too. I'm mad, dude. Can't believe you forgot. So, anyways, the first game I think I saw them was, I think, Orange they played?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, okay, Orange. And they
Oh yeah,
totally
that was
crushed Orange the first game. I have no idea why Orange did that first game. It was like some ancient Nakes or something. The second game they had like Orange had that Sven. And I know that before I was like everyone was like harping on Sven. It wasn't just me, it was like Puppy, it was Toby, or not Toby, I mean it was like Puppy on everyone on the Talk Dota at least was harping on it. And most of the competitive players like whining about how stupid the hero was. And then you see LGD like totally just go and have like a new set of picks. I think they picked their exact lineup was like Clockwork top, Luna bottom, something mid, Night Stalker mid, I think. And then they just went around like pushing all the towers, and like by 24 minutes they had all 6 outer towers, and they had an Aegis, and they just won. And the Sven was like totally useless, and then it was like a new playstyle. And I think ever since that, I think that whole GEST was like revolutionary, at least for Dota right now, because so many people watched it, and most of the scrims we play, people are trying to mimic that playstyle. Like every game we play, there's like a Luna. Luna's like become really popular in the Western scene, especially after that tournament. NA has become pretty popular. Night Stalker's become obviously he was popular before, but he's had the surge again. I don't know, just the whole play style where just people are going S5 and pushing has kind of become more popular in these even these like clan war games with like random European teams. So I think it was pretty influential that entire tournament. It's like every like few months you have this like one tournament that just entirely changes the play style, and then people are like they don't want to try stuff before, and then they realize, oh, this works versus this style. Like, okay, we're just gonna all play this style because it's very effective, and then in a few months that might change. I don't know. It's just like people aren't too scared to try new things, and then when they see someone else do it and have success with it, they want to try and copy it. That's just what my opinion is. But I loved how they played, and it was really fun games. I think that was one of the most fun tournaments I've seen, at least since TI2. So props to them, and they played really well, at least in their last series. So
Yeah, I know also that you in general like watching tournaments that are kind of placed like really quickly in succession, right? Where the games are played within like a 1 or 2 day span. So
yeah, I think I mean I actually said that on Twitter, and like people like took it, but I'm not gonna flame leagues or anything. I just think in my personal opinion, is I love these like small tournaments. Obviously, I don't know like all the logistics and the statistics. I hate whenever I say obviously I say so much, but I don't know all the logistics and statistics and stuff. So I like these leagues are gonna have more revenue and things, but like these 3 day tournaments are just so much fun to watch. And you like it's because it's like a story is built up. You follow this one team and you want to see them through, and they go. I love that whole format, and LD did a really good job at least of casting that too. So
I agree. I think that like short tournaments are like much more exciting. The build up for the entire tournament is much more exciting. Like we see the Premier League, and that's just lasting like 3 months, 2 to 3 months, and there isn't much build up. And we see the raid call. I mean, there isn't much build up. Like teams just improve a lot in general while playing throughout the league, and like sometimes they get worse as well because like they just have like some roster problems. I know we've all experienced this, but like I don't know, like at the start of like in raid call, you can tell like at the start of a tournament, sometimes a team can be like the strongest team, like for sure, at the start of the tournament. But when it gets to like the mid season or the late season, like a team can just fall off and like not do so well sometimes, and it kind of kills the momentum that the league has going for it.
yeah, completely agree. Why do you think it is though that most tournaments just instead of having these 1 day events, they prefer to have just like these week-long events, like where it stretches out over like 3 months. It's mainly just for casting reasons, right? I assume so. Casters don't like kill themselves casting like 12 hours at a time.
Well,
no,
it's
it's
a
because
round
the
robin
prize
format.
pool.
What?
I think the prize pool, because like if you put this prize pool, it's like it's better to have the tournament spread apart. I don't know. That's what's my opinion. So you can. I mean, Bumblebee kind of explained this to me, so whatever. I think he kind of explained it to me the other day.
Oh, then do you want to elaborate, Bumblebee?
Well, one of the things you have to look at with like the history of esports is like if you look at StarCraft 1 boot or in Korea, Like, no doubt, the biggest thing that's ever been in esports is Pro League. It was way bigger than the OSL, and it's this 6 to 8 months long tournament where you have every team play against each other. You find the best team, people practice for it. There's this prestige. Like, people come to these events and watch every single clan war, right? So it's kind of a different feeling, and we're probably not there with Dota yet, and it's something that has to be built. But there are actually a lot of fans who are fans of the teams and not only the players themselves. If you actually watch a game like StarCraft, it's a one-on-one game, and even though we have all these amazing personalities such as Hero, or we have the Muslim and EG, or we have all the other guys who has a lot of fans, people like the teams, people like what teams stand for because they stand for different things, like, and there's rivalries. So that is a really big thing in terms of like what do you call it, fandom, you can say. So that's really one of the things, and the culmination of such a long tournament is just really good. Like, it's really big and huge.
Yeah. Okay, so I do want to talk a few more about the games, though, that were played. I noticed, actually, the most obvious difference between the playstyles was Clockwork was being used pretty frequently, Nerubian Assassin was being used pretty frequently, and actually, the thing that was the most telling was kind of the lack of Sven. I actually want to ask you about that, Paint. What do you think about Nerubian Assassin as a hero, and why is he kind of played more in China than he is everywhere else?
Well, I feel like he was just a general unexplored hero in the current metagame. It's just that teams weren't experimenting that much, and they weren't used to the style of play, but teams are, I don't know, I guess he's just finally came out. I always feel like he's a good hero with so much mana burn, but yeah. And Sven Fallout is... Sorry, we're just laughing at some comments in chat.
Okay. Let's just keep it together and kind of power through.
Yeah. All right.
Sorry.
Okay. Just, all right, we'll get like 2 seconds. All right. We're good now.
This is
Sam.
what motivation during exams does.
Yep. Sam, you're actually like the biggest China fanboy, so I want to ask you most about kind of the hero Clockwork. Like, he's been around forever. I know he's had some minor changes, but what's kind of been the tipping point for him being such like a highly valued hero nowadays?
Well, it's a hero that can get farm versus their tri-lane and kind of like spam their hero. And the cogs are actually, he's really hard to kill. And those cogs are really annoying in the fights. Like, you have like, it's a good hero versus Sven especially. I know that people have said it before, but it's the cogs even late game. It's after the thing about Sven is after his BKB is down, he's kind of an easy target to kill. Not easy, but it's like obviously he's easier to kill than if he doesn't have a BKB on. So it's just one of those things that are just delaying his BKB charges and makes those 10 seconds maybe a 3 second where he has BKB where he's actually hitting something. It's just that kind of hero. And also he's really tanky early on, and he can dive towers easily with his Clockwork hook. And you can like hook out. I know that was a new mechanic actually, where you can hook out towards your allies and stuff without agonizing now. So overall, I think he has a lot of he's an annoying hero to play versus. That's what. Yeah, he's hard to kill. He has a lot of spam ability, and he's a useful hero, I think. And contrary to, I know Darkseer actually was not a popular pick, and even Bounty Hunter too. So you have these like surgence of what the popular offlaners heroes were, like Darkseer and Bounty Hunter becoming now just Clockwork, and what else did they put? Like Clockwork? What else? I know
they put NA a lot in the long lane as well,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know about NA. I saw Fear on offlane. Well, it's off.
Sometimes they just pick Darkseer and they just don't have an offlane.
Yeah, I think Brax played offlane as well with Windrunner one game. I don't know, but it's not as much Darkseer. I know that in China right now, Bounty Hunter is not a popular pick just because when you play versus the other team, it's kind of annoying just having the Bounty Hunter doesn't get levels, and they do a good job of keeping off the lane. So that's what Brax told me, at least why Bounty Hunter isn't a popular pick anymore.
Okay, and sorry, go on.
I just wanted to like ask. I missed one series. Kurt or Sam, did you guys catch the MUFC versus LDDG China games on day one?
No, I didn't see that.
Yes, I did.
Because after day one, like we saw that they got 2-0'd by MUFC, and that was a pretty big surprise to everyone. And MUFC played pretty well that entire tournament. They lost 2-1
Are you talking
after
about the
that.
games in the group stages? I mean, not the groups, the first round?
Yeah.
Not the
The
group
first
stages,
round.
okay. I think both games, LGT just had like some pretty bad picks, and Brax told me after that they were actually both, they were all like kind of, they just came back from Siler's birthday was the day before, and they were late and they were all tired and stuff. I don't know. He said some excuse though.
Okay, because that was a pretty big like upset as far as the tournament goes. I was just wondering what the reason was.
I don't think that's MFC's full roster though, because X Freedom, he's not joining that team, so they don't even have 5 right now. I think they only have 4. So, and he actually was a pretty strong player. I think he played really well in all those games with the other guy,
Was he
Ohio.
the Tinker?
Which game? There was like 2 Tinkers.
The second series between
the one with
LGD China.
Keyblade and Dagon. Yeah, was that Tinker?
That game
And
was
then-
so good.
Yeah, it was a pretty funny game. And then the other guy, Ohio, was pretty strong too. The gyrocopter in that game.
Overall, it was just a great tournament.
Oh, by the way, Kurt, I meant to ask you about, were you the one that enjoyed playing Night Stalker mid? Like, why has that hero kind of hit like its stride and come back into competitive Dota? Like, nothing was changed about him, right? Is it just a metagame shift or a trend, or?
I think it's just a metagame thing, because a lot of games are more kill heavy and gank heavy, and that's pretty much what Night Stalker does, right?
Yeah. It's really weird, though, that absolutely nothing about him was changed, right? And then all of a sudden, he's just a popular pick again.
He was indirectly changed, right? Like they buffed the experience and golds from like kills. So
Yeah, from a spectator standpoint, anyways, he's an entertaining hero to watch because he just creates action.
I think he's a good hero because he doesn't need that much farm. He just needs levels, and you can get levels no matter what mid with bottle crowing. And most of the heroes right now, I mean, he can dive and you can push easily, so it fits really well with LGD's kind of playstyle. LGD Internationals, at least.
Yeah.
And IG's. I know that the way that LGD is playing right now is they kind of got that playstyle from IG itself. I know that they've scrimmed IG a lot, so I think at least how it's going over in China right now, all these teams are like scrimming each other and they're getting each other's playstyles. And right now, I think that's the one that's most dominant with the Luna and pushing and stuff.
I see. Do you feel like, so you don't agree with the whole let's just stack, get spend, farmed and stuff?
Of course not.
he doesn't
Who
think
does?
it should be possible. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he thinks that one team should be pressuring at all costs.
I think if both teams, like one team doesn't pressure and the other team farms with the Sven, like what is the team that doesn't pressure gain? How are you going to beat a Sven late game with all those items? It's like stupid. It's not
kind
like
of-
it's not that I hate it. I mean, if one team stacks with Sven, I'm not gonna hate them. I'm just hate how both teams don't do anything to stop it, and the team with the Sven or the Void will usually win.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, though, like how, remember in Dota 1, it was all, the Chinese will farm like crazy and Americans and Europeans will play aggressively, and now it's kind of shifted around. So, like, it's the opposite. Now the stigma is that we're the people that kind of slow down the tempo of the game more so than anything.
I do partly agree with that. I remember there was even like a Join Dota article about it, but I think it's taken out of context. I think it's just based on this one tournament. I think both sides, at least the Asians, are gonna play the one that they feel more comfortable with playing against each other, and we're gonna choose the one that we play more comfortable. And just because of all the stacking and someone picking Sven just in a finding game and just finding how good he is, that playstyle kind of expanded. Then people people were kind of afraid to try stuff versus him and didn't want to do anything. So that's why that's how at least I think this whole thing started. I still think that both sides are just gonna play how they play versus each other, like how these teams are going to play. Like the thing about this Dota scene is the Chinese teams play against each other, and then we play against each other, and we're going to be learning things from each other, but they're going to be learning. So it's going to be a total different mix. So what's strong there isn't really what's strong now. But when a big tournament like this comes up, where they play that style, and then we all see it and we think, oh, China's so good, we're going to play like that. It's like a whole huge cycle, and it wasn't like that in Dota 1 much because we didn't see how they played. So that's like a huge dynamic for Dota 2 at least.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Replays. Speaking of like play styles, how do you feel about the Orange versus LGD China? And like LGD China is like known for their 5-manning and just grouping up and just pressuring, like the heaviest pressure of all, and that's how they took down IG formerly in the G1 League. And Orange, I feel like Orange actually had their number in Game 1 and Game 3 with the strategy that they put out there. They just like basically mass split push with Furion, and they took Game 1, and then they had a pretty significant lead in Game 3 from what I remember. And yeah, I feel like Orange had like the play style of the Chinese like 5-man down a lot better than and it was just strong.
I'm not gonna go against this. I actually love how Dota's played right now, contrasted to like 2 weeks ago. It's actually really fun, like playing all these games with all these kills and team fights and stuff. So I actually like it. And it seems like the teams that have better strategy and are better skilled win now, instead of just waiting for your Sven to get really fat and win, like fight and win the game. But we saw that in what, THOR Open or whatever. So
Yeah, I also I know I saw you guys play, right, Team Liquid. You guys actually had a win in the defense for your first game, and I saw that you guys completely ignored Sven and just went for heroes like Nerubian Assassin and Broodmother, who I haven't seen picked in like the longest time in the entire world. Was that like a direct influence of like a Chinese playstyle you guys saw over the weekend, or was that just something you guys had in the works?
I don't think it was a Chinese play. I mean, we played differently, and we don't like. I don't think we just copy. I mean, it's like a different style. I don't think you can really say inherently this is exactly copied. Obviously, see an exact lineup compared to LGD in, you can say this team copied how LGD played that day, because they're not inherently going to think of this randomly because they scrim against teams like us and teams like that. So I don't think you can compare the both. And towards the Sven comment, I think it was just. I mean, he's a strong hero, but is he like a top pick? Is he better than a hero like Undying? Is he a better hero than a Batrider, a better hero than a Mag, or whatever? It's like this hero fits in a niche, and if you pick that niche, there's counters to that niche. So you can't just inherently say this hero is the best hero right now. Like you have to think beyond that. So
Okay. Kurt, does your team actually like still favor Sven very highly, or do you think he was just kind of flash in the pan hero and he'll kind of get phased out?
I don't think we've picked Sven like since DreamHack. And actually at DreamHack, I thought Sven was gonna get countered pretty hard, like the stack and Sven style, but no one did anything about it. Because I actually did an interview there where I said I thought Sven was not going to do as well as people thought he would. And he actually had a pretty bad win rate there, but I don't know how much that
I
has to
think
do with teams picking him and just losing. What are you saying, Bulba?
that was like a I don't everyone's like using that argument to counter how influential he was that tournament. It's like they're like taking these like
Well,
random games from
it's
the
a point of interest, not like the entire argument, right?
I know. I'm just saying. I mean, people are using that to argue that at this point that Sven is not so strong of a hero. But in that tournament, obviously he was a strong hero because he won most of the games, and the only games where he didn't win are when teams actually did something to stop him from farming, like
Yeah.
Enigma, like how Fnatic picked Enigma versus your team, and how NTH picked Void versus EG. It's like this kind of, or EG picked Void versus NTH's Sven. It's like the thing is the Sven pick in that tournament, no one wanted to like change their playstyle. Even Navi was not playing aggressive. They were not putting pressure, and the whole like how Puppy was arguing like, oh, this is so stupid and stuff. But we saw how the reason they lost that first game was because they didn't have a counter to Sven. And I knew that inherently that regardless of what they were going to do with SF and that CK, if they let the Sven get too fat, regardless of how much they outplay the other team, if they don't put pressure, they're going to lose. Because Sven is strong in that regard. But he has a niche. He's kind of like the Spectre, you know? Like, you hit that timing with Spectre, back in the old patch, wherever he gets that radiance by whatever. It's like you're playing versus a timer. And if you don't stop that timer from reaching, you're going to lose to it. If you don't have counters to that, you're going to lose to it. So that's just what my argument is. So, okay, he had a, 41% win rate, but you're taking out of context because obviously some of those games were not the actual games that he was relevant in, like the finals or the semifinals or the quarterfinals. So.
Well said, Sam. Any counterpoints to that, AUI?
I think he just said that the win rate doesn't matter because the games he lost, he was countered. Was that your argument?
Yeah, I think...
But my entire argument was that he could be countered.
No, I was talking about the games where all the actual pool was taken from every game, and some of those games were relevant, right? It's like random BOIOC
Yeah,
teams
but
losing
some of his wins were irrelevant too. Is that
Wait, what games did he exactly lose? I remember most of the games he was first pick or first ban, and for top three. at least in the finals and the semifinals. He won most of the majority of his relevant games, right? So he was a
I,
strong hero in that tournament. That's what I'm trying to argue.
I think it was more Magnetar in that tournament winning all his games than Sven, though.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm just gonna say that. I mean, like all I'm trying to say is the hero was strong, and if you don't counter it,
Yeah,
you're gonna lose.
he
That's
was
all.
strong, but yeah. Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
Robin,
Strong hero.
Just
So he
laughing.
was a strong
That's
hero
what
at DreamHack.
that's what we
He was
argued. Yeah.
strong. Yeah.
that's our argument point. That's we just kind of ran in a circle about that. But Robin, I know you were personally at DreamHack yourself. What were your thoughts on the hero itself? Do you think that it was just kind of a flash in the pan?
Sven?
Yeah.
I honestly didn't get to watch much Dota at DreamHack because we were really busy with the StarCraft since we actually went all the way to the finals with 2 players. But in general, I think Sven is alright. Like, it's not like it's imbalanced or anything. It's a hero that has like its uses. And at DreamHack, looking only at the win rates, like we have, what was it? Was it Undying and Magnus who had 100% win rate on Dire side, and then like 60 to 80% on Radiant side or something. Like that says something about the heroes and how they're used, I think, and that is really maybe not really the problem. Like there are things that can be done to it, in my opinion. What it exactly is, that's not my job to figure out. That's kind of you guys, right?
Yeah. From a spectator standpoint, Robin, are you okay with the whole, you just like farm and stack, and then you get one cleave and win the game?
Um, I mean, it's kind of boring. Like, Sven is a very boring hero to watch. Like, I don't think it necessarily requires a lot of skill in terms of like mechanics. Like, it's a targetable stun. Like, it's about like your in-game decisions and like your experience in the game that makes him a good hero, and like you making a good Sven player. So it's not really fun to watch those kind of games. I don't mind watching farming games because there can be a lot of strategy to it, on like how the supports like move around the map and create space, or how the other heroes are utilized. So it's not the farming games, it's just that Sven in itself is kind of a boring hero.
Yep. And transitioning over from talking about Sven in general, something I did want to talk about, the THOR finals actually just happened, right? Last weekend? Or was it this weekend? It was like 2 days ago, but anyways, and that was like the biggest playstyle shift in the world for me, going from watching the GEST finals, right, where Luna was actually the preferred hero, to seeing Sven and Mag and all that again. And actually, this was the final that Fnatic Europe actually won, right? Winning 2-0
Yeah.
over NTH. What did you guys think about the finals in general?
The finals. Well, the first game, I don't know. Found like the finals to be like lackluster. The first game, NTH, I didn't like their lineup one bit. Like that, it was like a 5-man like lineup once you hit like 15, 20 minutes, and it heavily relied on like their tri-lane doing well, their aggressive tri-lane doing well, but they didn't have much adaptability, and like Fnatic just kept switching their lanes. And their tri-lane wasn't even strong. It was a Coddle, Wisp, and a Undying, so they didn't have any like stuns or slows to besides like Tether to like lock down the lane. And they made a pretty big error early in the game, which costed them the game. Well, actually, it didn't cost them the game, but they had the bear stay in the bottom lane in the tri lane instead of going back up top to solo against the bounty, and they didn't have the Undying. And overall, like that entire game, like they lost that tri lane. Then they had to switch up their lanes, and like Wisp stayed level 1 forever. And after that, like they just didn't have any like slows. They didn't have any stuns. Like their only stun was Rubik that game, and Entangle and Tether. And Tether isn't reliable. Only Rubik is reliable. So they couldn't really do anything to get themselves back in the game. All they could do was like farm and hope that they could do something. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, they didn't have someone to gank with the Wisp pick. The Rubik pick was their only reliable stun, and then they had a Bear, an Undying, and Keeper of the Light. So they didn't really like have much do shit heroes, and I feel like it was a big loss for that. And then game 2, yeah, just Sven,
Game
big
2 was like the
Chris.
same thing,
Yeah,
wasn't it? There's like really similar picks.
yeah, but they had better picks that game. Like they had a couple more. They had Gyro. I forget the picks, but yeah, it was basically the same thing. A lot of farming, stacking with Gyro, There were a couple Divine Rapiers. Big credit from Sven. I didn't finish watching the entire game. So
It pretty
Sam?
much went. Sven ignored getting a BKB for as long as he possibly could for some crazy reason, and
Yeah,
went.
he rushed a heart or something.
Yeah, he went like
It was
armlet,
weird.
heart, and then a blink dagger and a daedalus before he picked up his BKB, right? Sam, I see you looking like sad and confused about that. What were your thoughts on Sven's decision to kind of ignore getting a BKB? Do you think he did it just because they were super far ahead, or he thought their lead was larger than it was, or?
Dude, I've seen Arrow's builds in other games too. It's like the same. He like goes like Tranku boots Midas. I don't know. He goes like weird stuff on Sven, and like all heroes. He has like weird builds. So that was really comical actually. Just seeing if you got this one item, they had like Darkseer and stuff, and BKB like totally crushes Darkseer, but he doesn't want to buy a Darkseer. I mean, he doesn't want to buy a BKB. So he's just like, I don't know. He prolonged that game for so long, and then it was actually, there were a lot of kills. It was like a clowny game. I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
But
What do you think about it, actually? Like, from a spectator's point of view, it can be kind of, like, frustrating sometimes to watch these games with, like, Sven and Magnuson. And it just feels like a free win for these teams. Like, what do teams actually have to do when they go up against these heroes? Like, how do they have to play, and how do they actually have to pick?
Well, I think Bat Raider and Mag are god tier, so I think interchangeable. I don't know.
Yeah.
In some scenarios, I think Mag is better. Some scenarios, I like Bat Raider better. But I don't think you can like. I think if you just play well, you can beat these. I mean, obviously it's like an annoying, and if you like prolong the game, it's gonna be hard to win because those heroes are really stupid late game. But if you just play well, and NTH did not play well both those games, and they had even admitted it, and they said their picks were awful and their play was awful, and they didn't have
Yeah.
polling.
Eternal Envy actually picked Bat over, or he picked Undying over Bat first pick in game 1, which is kind of unbelievable to me. But yeah, like late game, like Magnus, he's just insane. Like basically, you can't have like one carry hero, or you can't solely rely on one hero. Like say like a Sven or a Luna, or even to some extent, if you get the initiation off like a Void, you can't just rely on one of those heroes. Like a Void should never get caught, but like a Sven or a Luna, for example, it's a 4-second stun and it goes through BKB, so you have like 4 seconds with him power to take them down. He is like a really hard hero to play against in the late. If you can like crush a team in like 20 minutes, then yeah, it's no problem. But overall, like I don't think that teams on the same level can do that. They can just run over the other team. So Meg is a hard hero to play against, I think. Well, obviously.
Yeah.
And
He's
well,
pretty
it's
bullish
just a
sometimes.
problem with Magnetar. Your team fight execution's so easy compared to the other team. Like the team playing against Magnetar has to play perfect, and a team with Magnetar sort of just has to hit 2 or 3 in the out, and they just win. So
Yeah,
I
even if
really
they
don't
just
like
hit the
that.
carry.
Yeah, like you can one man out the BKB carry, and you just win the fight. So
It's like an AoE roar.
yeah, but I think there were a few bugs that were fixed on Meg, so you can't cast Empower through BKB anymore, and you can't cast during Skewer. So
Okay.
that should help out a little bit.
Yeah, I was wondering about that skewer, because I remember when I was watching Demon's Clownness, and he would just skewer in and then RP like halfway through, and I'm like, that's
Yeah.
possible? Like,
And
what?
the Empower staying on when you BKB was actually a really big issue because your carry's getting plus 50% damage no matter what they do, which is really stupid.
Yeah, at no cost.
What do you guys think of shifting the focus when playing against Magnus? Like, shifting the focus in terms of, like, picking combo breakers instead, like, Disruptor or something. Could that work, like, in like, stopping his ultimate from, like, everyone just tearing them apart in that kind of
I
fight?
know Tidehunter's a pretty good pick against Magnetar, but you try it and it sort of works out, and it works out a lot better in theory than it does in practice, but it's still like, once he hits that refresher orb, your carry is stunned for 8 seconds in every fight. So
Yeah.
Even so, like,
here,
a Disruptor can't, like, silence before a Meg's gonna blink in and get RP off, you know?
yeah. And even then,
Most-
Meg can buy a BKB. He can farm it. He's a good farmer too, so.
I
Okay.
remember actually in the games themselves, I think Hani was just the one playing the mag, and he completely whiffed on his ult once, and they still ended up winning the game like no problem. Well, no problem, but do you remember that? Like when he was gonna blink
He
in
played
from
a
the
really
side?
good Meg. Other than that one missed out, he played a really good Meg though. He got like
Yeah.
good pickoffs. He got the first blood. He hit the 3-man out into skewer for the 3.2k.
Yeah, I actually thought Loto's decision to go for Divine was actually really worth it, because if his positioning was good, then he just kind of stands outside, and gosh, that makes me think of like how crazy good Flat Cannon is when you just like sit outside and auto attack and you hit everything. Like it just clears up so much space for like your entire team to just do stuff.
It was definitely good. Oh, something that wasn't really noticed is that Delina hit a stun on Gyro every single team fight. So she sort of shut down his Flat Cannon Divine Rapier DPS.
Yeah, he did a really good job of that in general. Like he would save his stuns and his ult at proper times.
Yeah, I really like that Lina playing that game actually.
Yeah. Is Gyro just like a poor man's Luna, or does he actually kind of warrant like a top tier pick, do you think?
I think he isn't a poor man's Luna. I think that he's good in aggressive tri lanes as well. I think that's what we might see him as. Like I think complexity might not complexity. Oh, liquid. Like
Yeah,
I'm
we
so
don't need to
used
lie
calling
anymore about
fluff and
him being
stuff.
cool anymore.
Yeah, I'm so used to calling fluff and stuff complexity, but like fluff and stuff, he likes to pick like versatile lineups where he can either like safe lane or he can challenge their tri lane at any time, and he likes to pick a carry that can do that. But overall, he likes to get two supports that are stronger and that can just dominate the lane. But like Gyro's a hero that's really strong in aggressive tri lanes. I think if you have like the proper disable with the flat cannon, it just does so much shift.
God damn it, Sam.
See, now you just like completely lost your train of thought, haven't you? See, now I've lost my train of thought as well now. See what you did, Sam?
I'm sorry.
Ruined it for
Forgive
all
me.
of us.
Sorry, forgive me, dude. PAINTITGOLD asked me. Was a request for before.
Okay,
did.
so
And I had to do it, since he requested me, I had to do it when he was talking, so...
alright, so something I did want to bring up as well. The pulling nerf, that actually just went into effect last week. Do you guys think that that had any bearing on THOR itself, starting with Kurt? Because I know that you were a pretty big advocate against the ability to pull, right? What do you think about it now? Like the whole pulling and stacking in general?
It definitely makes like pulling and stacking harder, which is more NTH style. So anything, even like small changes that sort of affect your style are gonna have a pretty big effect on the big tournament. So I would say it definitely had a correlation with NTH's loss. And I'd actually like the change, so.
I know
'cause I know
Sam
that-
has a lot to talk about on this. He messaged me after like they lost. It's like, man, like fucking noobs lost.
Wait, towards the pull and the stacking stuff?
Yeah.
Like, everything? I don't know, I think the changes were pretty good. It's actually annoying, like, playing, like, jungle tinker and shit now, because I can't... It's harder to stack these camps. And the thing is about stacking these camps now is, like, you can't just walk by a camp at whatever and just, like, casually do it. You have to, like, plan it. And it's hard to do more than 2 or 3 three times now. And it's even connecting is, like, kind of hard. So people have to find, like, new timers and stuff.
Wait,
So obviously...
why do you think you need to plan it? It's the pull timing is actually 2 seconds later now, so you don't need to
Yeah,
plan it.
I'm just saying, like, the whole planning is in, like, they had this mentality of, I'm going to pull it here. Before it could, there was, like, a 6-second gap of, during that 6-second
Yeah,
gap,
I
you
see.
could pull it no matter what. Like,
So
now
you
you
need
see,
to like plan which direction
there's,
you
like,
walk
yeah,
at.
there's, like, a smaller gap now, so, it's just, I mean, everything's small, right? I mean, everything's, like, counts, so, I think in that regard, it's kind of cool. Also, the pulling stuff, it's harder to, like, I know in the small camp dire, it's like one of the camps you can't actually pull easily. You can only pull like 1 or 2, and you have to get aggro. I don't know. There's like a lot of change stuff. So the thing about this is like people are still gonna find like ways to abuse. It's not gonna totally thing, but I love the change. I love the whole tether thing. I think those neutral camps are walking way too far in Dota 2 compared to Dota 1.
One other thing is it's a lot easier to try lane and Radiant side now because they can't pull that hard camp. And the easy camp, you need to get hit by a creep in order to pull it. Like basically only the Radiant side can pull that hard camp, unless the dark side is really pushed out that far, in which case your hard lane is, or your aggressive tri lane is probably just gonna be able to contest that or whatever.
Yeah. So
So
I
do you
agree.
think... Oh, sorry?
I mean, also another thing about the whole Thor, I mean, you're talking about the pulling and the stacking is, even though that was like kind of changed, but then teams saw the GEST and saw that you don't have to do this to play. So obviously that affected too. So I don't think it's entirely the patch. I think it kind of helped, but I think the playstyle's also kind of changed because of that tournament. So
I
people are.
feel like the Thor Open tournament. I watched the Pulse games and I watched the finals as well, and I felt like it wasn't like influenced by GST at all. Like I felt like they were still employing the same playstyle. Like I don't feel they changed anything.
I mean, most of the teams at least.
Maybe
I don't know.
Fnatic did.
Yeah, I think Luna's popular because of that. I think NA has become popular because of that stuff.
Well, Nyx was just broken, not because of GST.
Yeah.
That hero's
Yeah,
stupid.
Fnatic was running that
guess.
before.
Yeah. And Nyx is like one of the stupidest heroes.
He is.
How is it only now that like people are realizing stuff like that though? Like how do you go from saying a hero's like mediocre to now saying like a hero's like broken? Like what is it just people not really trying stuff out or what?
Well, I don't want to be like Bulba here and say I invented stuff, but I caught Nyx a long time ago. I can't ask my teammates. It's just that we never had an opportunity to run him, you know? Like, there weren't any like big tournaments after International 2 where we would have really run him in like...
Oh, so he was like a
specific
pocket strategy?
lineup. Yeah, we would have had him at his pocket strat.
Whatever, man. You can say that, but
Sorry, you invented him.
I remember a story, dude. I remember a story. I think it was like a month before, like a month like in July or something. I was like, this hero is broken. So it was actually me and not you. And I think
That was before his buff to his E though. So
yeah, but
makes
regardless,
him
the hero
even more
balanced.
broken.
It's the hero, and Alex Mike actually told me last year that this time Nyx is gonna be broken. So.
Okay,
Alright,
literally like when Sam was boot camping in Copenhagen, he literally like messaged me like for like I don't know, we talked, and he would message me and he's like he would make so many predictions that like some of them had to come true. He's like, yeah, like TA be a top 2 pick at TI too. Like I think Morphling's a top 1 pick, like top 3 pick. I think TA is a top 3 pick. I think like Bounty Hunters or Naga's a top pick. And he just kept like
must have been hard to call. Nagasaki.
Yeah.
Then.
Sam looks like a genius
That
now.
hero sucked back then. How could you predict that one?
Whatever, man.
there were just so many
folks.
predictions.
Now I know why Liquid or Robin picked up Sam because Sam's a genius. He predicts the metagame months in advance.
Yeah, that's the sole reason we did it.
Oh my gosh. This is just too easy to rag on you, Sam. I'm sorry.
Dude, like wait, like my prediction, like Shadow Blade is the best item in the game now. That's what I think.
What makes Shadow Blade Emma, Sam? Please explain.
Dude, it's like
this.
3k gold for like the best damage. I don't know, dude. It's such an awesome, and it's like called Shadow Blade. Who doesn't want to go that item? Like you can go that item on any hero and it just looks cool, you know? You can't question it because regardless, you can always go back to why did he go Shadow Blade? It's like I want attack speed and damage, so that's just why the item is amazing. You can't ever get flamed for going that item.
You can never
Like
get
DOA
played.
said.
That's it. Bulba said it. Everybody just started getting Shadow Blades.
For getting Shadow Blades ever. Like, never.
Like DOA called it, the purple sword.
Yeah.
It doesn't look deadly.
That's
If you
pretty
see the
bad.
Team Liquid interview, actually, he goes, it doesn't look deadly, but that means it's the deadliest.
That was a pretty good cast, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. He was just really like open and happy, and it was good. Like he didn't know what was going on, but he casted it, man. He
And
casted it.
his names for the heroes were surprisingly close to their actual names.
Yeah, he
Like,
got Rhinotar.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was getting like
Rhino
close.
Mentor or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was like really close.
Lady of Pain.
It was so funny.
Yeah, later.
There was the ehome.cn game, and there was like this point where this mag hit the 4-man RP, and they had a super farm Sven with Daedalus, and this mag hit the 4-man RP, and Sven just hit twice, and everything died. He was like, well, like, the red sword. The red sword. That's some strong shit.
I meant to ask you, Robin, what is the general outlook of people that play SE2 in regards to Dota? Like, is it like a whole Dota's a terrible game, or is the consensus around the SE2 community generally positive?
I think it's generally positive, but the thing you have to remember, people are kind of elitist about their own games, right? Like, some of the questions that StarCraft players arise, it's like, the game is so mechanically easy compared to StarCraft and doesn't understand the like the decision making and like the teamwork that you actually have to assess. So they just think it's an easy game and it's an easy way to flame the game. But I think if and once people actually give it a chance, they will actually grow fond of the game because it is a really good game. But as you've seen with Liquid expanding and read the news post and stuff like that, on our website it's like extremely popular now. Like people are really open to it. People are really happy that we've gone into it, and a lot of people want to give it a shot now. So I think for the most part, it's just about people needing an opportunity or a reason to actually give it a shot and figure out what it actually is. Of course, there will always be people who don't like it, but whatever.
Yeah. I can agree with that standpoint. Is there, by the way, is there any reason why Team Liquid didn't pick up a LoL team? Not trying to like start a flame like that, but I know LoL has like a relatively large market for you guys to kind of tap into.
Well, there are a couple of reasons. Like some of the reasons that, or my personal reasons, is that I do believe Dota is a way better game than League of Legends. And that's just personal opinion, right? Like, I think the game is much more fun to watch. I think there's much more possibility in the game itself. Like, League of Legends is so stale, in my opinion, that it's not really fun to watch. Even though it has, like, a lot of viewers, that's really all it has, right? Like, I was talking to a guy at DreamHack about the actual fan base and what the community is. And League of Legends is actually at the bottom of the social media market in terms of esports. Like StarCraft and Dota are by far the highest up. And even though League of Legends has a huge player base, they don't really have a community. They don't really have this like united feeling that what we are and like we stand together. And that's also a big thing to talk about. Besides that, Valve is an amazing company that really believe will do the best for Dota, and we believe that Dota can really become the biggest thing out there, and even bigger than League of Legends. So, I guess that's why we chose Dota instead, because we do believe in it, and we believe in it way more than we believe in League of Legends. So, yeah.
Yep. No flame, by the way, to anybody that plays League of Legends. Like, it's its own game, and personally, I have no hate towards the game at all. So the question wasn't the flame bait or anything like that. It was just
No,
more
and
personal
it
question.
is honestly not meant as flame either. Like I played League of Legends. I tried to play maybe 400-500 games, and it's fun to play. It's just not Dota. Like it's just not Dota. That's all I can say.
Yep. Okay.
You met one second. Like you mentioned, like it's lower on like the social media aspect than Dota is.
Yeah.
But like Dota, I find has like some of the worst like social media in comparison to like League. Like they've created like their top players are like really immensely popular, and they have tons of followers on like Facebook, Twitter, and stream viewers. So what were you referring to when you said like social media? I'm just curious.
It is actually Twitter, Facebook, all these kind of things. I personally have not done the research. There is a Swedish company that works closely together with DreamHack who does all these kind of things and kind of predicts where it's going to go. And he told me in like a brief conversation that Dota and StarCraft is far above League of Legends in terms of like Twitters,
Oh.
Facebooks, and that kind of stuff. So I can't really tell you much about it because I'm not the expert on it, but
Yeah.
that's what he
Okay.
told me.
Yeah, I mean, like I agree with your point about like how the communities are really together. Like the LoL, like the individual players are like immensely popular. Like the Ocelot guy, all the Team Solo mid guys, they're really popular individually, and they're popular on streams individually. But like as far as like community goes, it's I don't know. You don't really feel the community as much, I feel. And I have friends who play LoL and they watch the LoL stuff, so I've talked to them recently about it. So. It's interesting.
All right, moving on anyway, so this doesn't just turn into a Dota circle jerk. We hate LOLfest. Our last topic of the night, something that I wanted to talk about last week before somebody made me late for the show. A forfeit feature. This kind of ties into the law thing, but we can keep it completely devoid of that. But Robin, as a pub, like I know that you don't play competitively, but as a pub player in general, what do you?
What about it?
What are your thoughts on a forfeit feature without getting into flame? Just in regards to Dota, what are your thoughts on having forfeit in pub play?
Um, One of the things I really disliked in Hon was how people gave up so fast, like the concede function after 15 minutes. Like if people are just behind, they just want to get into a new game, and even though you actually lose the games, it makes for way faster games, and in the end, you'll end up with more wins and more points. Like people are farming all these points, people are farming items like to buy skins and stuff, and the same thing will happen in Dota. Like people just want to concede, like farm items. People want to play new games if they're having a bad game because it's not fun. So I don't really like it in particular. If there can be a way around it that I don't know how it should be done, I don't mind it. But as we've seen it in League of Legends and Hon, I don't like the feature.
Okay, Kurt, I know also that you're like the pub king. You play like
Thank you.
Merlini always complains that you play like 10 pub games a day and stream snipe them. What are your thoughts on the inclusion of a forfeit feature? Do you think that it's something that could potentially be a positive, or would you prefer that just wasn't in Dota at all?
I actually hate the idea of a forfeit option. Like, I really, 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 really hate it. And something that I was just reading the TeamLiquid forums right before the show when we were deciding topics, actually. And there's like a thread on the best Dota game you've ever played, I think. And if you go read that, basically every single game in there is like, oh, my team was down 4 Raxes, my throne was at 200 HP, and we killed them and we came back. And those are the memorable games. And I think having a forfeit option, I can like almost guarantee you that 95% of those games would have just been forfeited. So, and then those games are really what makes a large portion of Dota enjoyable for me. I love having those giant comeback games, and a forfeit option would ruin that. Also, there's an entire point where people say it makes the community a lot worse because everyone's yelling at the person who doesn't want to forfeit. I don't know whether that's true or not, but it sounds relatively reasonable. And there's also the fact that people in pubs and in Dota in general are absolutely awful at playing from behind, and having a forfeit option would just exacerbate that problem.
Okay. Sam, I actually know that you're one of those people that are like, this game's over, shoot me now. Like, I want this game to end. What are your thoughts on the forfeit option? Do you think it's a valid point at all, or are you completely against it being included in the game?
Well, I mean, based on my experiences, well, yesterday I was in a C9DO. I was playing Jungle Nakes. They had an aggressive tri lane, and I had like a Ven CK dual lane on my safe lane, and we were losing. My Venge was like 0 and 6, and my CK was like 0 and 10, and my picker was felony. So God, I was like, this game is over, and I'm like, this is depressing, and I left. I'm like, this is the liberty of C9DL. I can leave games. I'm like,
So,
if this was in the pub, what would I do? I'm like,
Remind me
okay.
to never play with you, Sam.
Well,
This is
obviously I don't
us,
leave
He's so
pubs,
bad
know.
in pubs anyways. Like, I'll play with him
Dude,
anyways.
my win rate's actually high considering how I do not
I think
care
my
at
win
all
rate is higher
pubs.
than yours.
No, dude, mine's like
Oh
67.
god, shots
Oh,
fired.
really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, mine's like 67, dude. It's
That's
because
only
like,
64.
yeah, dude. But I mean, but obviously because in my pubs, I'm gonna be playing Meepo in most of them. So even if I'm losing, I'm gonna be like, yes, I can win this because my Meepo is God. So
You
I can
also
maybe
Oh my
come back
God.
and win this. So the thing about Meepo is, regardless of how bad you're doing early game, you can always farm and you can like split push. So I'm like, I'm
And you
not
can
gonna lose.
stack, and you can like do farm, and you can kill them. Like,
Yeah.
you're just squad. Hey Josh, has Sam messaged you saying that Meeple's gonna be top pick?
I don't know, man. I just
Yep.
think
He said it to me.
I think
Yes.
I think if they can make Aghanim's buff include an option where you can have each of your meepos buy an extra item, according
Oh, more buffs to Aghanims. The last one wasn't big enough. You don't get a full Meepo with full stats.
Okay, now we're getting off
to
topic.
four sheeps, man, like 5 sheeps, that would be sick.
But so Sam, do you agree with the option?
Forfeit. Okay. Like seriously though, I agree that I don't like the. I think at some point there should be a forfeit option. I don't think there should be a forfeit option for the first like 35 minutes. But at like 40 minutes, like, this game's over. Just whatever. Just give a forfeit. I don't
People
care.
inquiring about is Shadowblade a good item on Meepo?
It could be one of the heroes that wouldn't be advisable on. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to do some research. So you can follow me on Twitter.
Oh my,
Check that
that was
out.
like the least shameless plug that I've ever heard in my entire life.
Oh my god.
So Sam
Very
agrees with the
subtle.
forfeit option
Very
being
subtle.
available. I personally don't think it should be available because even if it is and you don't include it like past the 35-minute mark, there's always that option that kind of weighs in people's minds and they think at some point that they can forfeit, so
Yeah,
they just give up.
to the end of the game. They play to that 35-minute mark.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, it seems like we've gone off topic enough today. So I think that'll be our wrap up for today. Thank you so much for Robin for being on the show. Team Liquid's Robin. You can follow him at Robin Nyman, Nymann. So any shout outs you want to give or plugs for anything that you do, Robin?
I want to say thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. I love all you guys. You do a great job for the scene, and I hope you continue. Besides that, I just wanted to thank Racer, Little Lab Factory, Get Shiny Things, and Twitch for making everything possible for us, and we're really happy we were able to sign a Dota team.
Okay, and as usual, Sam, since you already plugged your Twitter, but I'll do it again. It's at Liquid Bulba for anybody listening on the audio.
Shout out to Dignitas Monolith, one of my best friends, and then also thanks a lot to Team Liquid and our sponsors. Like, you guys are awesome, and thanks for giving us the opportunity. And it's great to have. All I can say, it's great to have a StarCraft 2 team that's actually winning games now. So I'm proud to be a teammate with.
Oh shit!
Oh,
Proud to be teammates with StarCraft 2 players that are winning. Shout out to Hero, one NASL.
maybe it can rub off on you.
Oh
Just
my
trolling.
God.
Just trolling.
All right. Anyways, moving on. Of course, we have the lovely PAINTDOTA at PAINTDOTA on Twitter. Josh, do you want to give any shout outs or plugins, anything?
I'd like to shout out to Universe at Universe Dota, and that's it. Gatorade.
And last but not least, of course, we have our friendly Dignitas player at AUI_2000. It's not Owie. That's another day. Any shout outs or plugs you want to give, Kurt? Show off your sweater or anything like that?
Just curious, Bumblebee. Does Team Liquid get mad when Sam forgets to mention his sponsors?
If he does it continuously, he'll
Well, I remember though. I remembered the shiny things, aka Little App Factory, Razer, Twitch.
Just wanted to make sure they get mentioned for you. You know,
Good
I
job.
got your back. Looking.
You have to do it up quick,
No,
but
I mean, shout out to my Team Dignitas and our sponsors Alienware, Intel, and Antec, and the other ones. And thanks to our manager Charlie, and actually, one other piece of news is that Pro Dota actually paid out their full money. So the 99% of people who said they wouldn't pay out, they paid it all out.
You know, I regret not playing that now. Like,
yeah, I thought
It's
they were
really
going to be
funny
shady
because
too.
people were like, "Oh, we're not trying because they're not going to pay out. We don't really care about that." So we beat them, and then they use that to see us, and then now we get $10,000. It's actually great.
we got
Free
forfeit
play.
lost out of it.
Yeah, I did too. But anyways, flaming Russian tournaments aside, you guys can follow me at Blitz_Dota, twitch.tv/BlitzDota. Thank you everybody for being on and watching. If you need anything, you guys can also tweet us at twitter.com/NEODota2, where you can tweet topic suggestions and stuff. Nobody ever does that, but if you actually have a good topic suggestion and stuff like that, we'll follow through. And we'll also be on TeamLiquid.net. We have under the general discussion area, you can find topics about us also on reddit.com/r Dota2. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be on again next week at Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, I believe. Depending on if things change. Or you can just follow NeoDota2 on Twitter to find out stuff like that. Thank you.
Everyone go watch Ike Swing.